Welcome to From the Front Row Fashion Podcast, where style meets soul, where we dive into the stories, strategies, and style behind successful fashion careers. I'm your host, Shanta, and today's guest is Claude Michelle. Claude is a fashion designer, founder of his very own brand, Rowing 1839, blending craftsmanship, culture, and modern elegance into every piece. Claude, welcome to the show. We're excited to have you here and dive into your journey. Your brand, Rowing 1839, and all the creativity behind it. So let's get into it. All right.
Thank you for having me.
So let's
So,
take it from the beginning then.
okay.
How did you first get into sewing and fashion?
So my mother's a seamstress, so I kind of grew up around it, just watching her for as a kid. Just sewing different dresses for my sisters. She did some stuff for us when we were as the boys, but it was mostly women's stuff that she did. So I just been around it. I've been immersed in it so long, and then eventually, like 2009, me and my twin brother was to start a fashion line together, but he decided to stick with music. I'm the one that stuck with the fashion. And I decided to launch the brand and just continue with the passion. So the way I learned how to sew was how my mother learned. She was self-taught. She said she took something apart, seen how it was constructed, and put it back together. So I used the same concept with the bow tie, and I just
Okay.
worked my way from there. Yeah,
So that was kind of my next question. Was that your first piece that you made, or what was your
yeah.
first piece?
My first piece was a bow tie.
Okay. And how old were you when you made that?
This was 2009, about 33. I don't know,
Oh, okay. I
30.
thought you were going to say like six.
No,
6 years
no,
old.
no, no, no,
Okay, not quite that young.
no, not
But I
that
mean, you
time.
had the skills like coming out the gate. So you were
Yeah.
learning, watching. You had your muse right at home that could help you from the very beginning. So I'm sure that bow tie was, world class when you got to make it on your own at that
Yeah,
point, right?
definitely, definitely.
Awesome, awesome. So who would you say was your biggest muse? Was your mother? Was anybody else in your family were
It
sewers?
started
Was
off
there a
with my
competition
mother.
in sewing with your sisters? Like, how would you say it was all Mama Dukes was kind of
Yeah,
that
my
the
mother was my
inspiration?
biggest inspiration, and
Okay.
then after that, when I really got into fashion, I learned about like designers like Ralph Lauren,
Okay.
Tom Ford, Domenico Vaca, Valentino. These were the people I actually started just looking at their work and their craftsmanship.
So early on, I know you got a early start in sewing and learning all the foundational work that was all laid. Was there a specific moment where you said, "Hey, I got what it takes. I can do this. I can do this seriously." Like, what was that moment?
Um, when I did my when I actually my first year. And I started with one college show, and I didn't expect it to grow the way it grew because it was just like I got the one show. I'm thinking I'm focused on the one show. This was at Boston University, and then it just escalated from there. I started doing a tour of colleges all around Boston, even outside of Boston as well. And then that was around January of 2012. By the time September rolled around, I was doing Fashion Week for Boston and New York. So that's when I
Wow.
knew. Yeah, that's when I knew. I was just like, okay,
You're like, I
yeah,
got this.
yeah.
So in your first show, did you make all the pieces or did you have some help? Like how big was
Yeah,
that first intro line that you introduced?
I actually did all the pieces myself my first show. So yeah.
So how did you learn like the art of like pattern making and all of that all from your mom or
No, I mean for the most part, I bought patterns and
okay.
stuff just to do, just start off with the basics. But the thing is, the way I learned how to pattern make was using some of those patterns as like a base and just doing any adjustments.
Okay.
So that's how I learned how to. And then when when you start messing with patterns for a while, you start learning a thing or two with stuff. So that's when I had
No, you
learned.
start learning a thing. I can go back from when I tried in home ec. Okay, I was super happy. I made a pillow, but yeah, it didn't go far. I do styling, so I can sew on a button and all of that. But I would like to learn more about sewing, so we need to talk more. But
Okay.
I do not have that skill. I can put it together, so it's still a talent and a skill that you have to, there's a mastery behind it. So
Yeah,
but yes, you
definitely.
are inspiring. You're inspiring me as we speak. So let's get into learning more, a little bit more about your brand. Can you tell us about your design aesthetic of your brand?
So my design aesthetic with my brand is very timeless and vintage clothing. I'm inspired by history when it comes to like being from Boston, also being black, and my heritage of being Haitian. So it's a combination of those three things. So it's like I'm using my brain to not only educate people
Hmm.
with a lot of the designs that I do. So a lot of my designs are inspired by different historical events
Hmm.
and just, things of that sort. So it's just like a combination of vintage, preppy, historical background, etc.
I love that. The heritage piece for sure. What exactly inspired you? I mean, you kind of alluded to it, your heritage, your Haitian heritage. Um, you're growing up in Boston and all of that. But when did you have the moment when you're like, this is the name of my brand? And tell us a little bit more about what Rowing 1839 represents and what does it mean?
Okay, so rowing is actually a sub brand to my actual brand, which is Claude Michelle.
Okay.
So my favorite designer is Ralph Lauren, and I seen that the way Ralph Lauren conducted himself, I used him as a blueprint when it came to like my structure of my company, because he went with Ralph Lauren, and then he has Polo by Ralph Lauren, then he had all the other brands.
Yes.
So I was like, I want to use that same concept. So I already have it written out way prior to even started sewing. Back in like 2008, I had like a project that was due for school about running a company, and I broke down the
The
structure of it.
different brands, like the
Yeah, so
black label,
rowing
the purple
18,
label, kind of
yep,
looking at,
exactly.
yeah. I actually
So
was a Ralph
rowing,
Lauren buyer, so I
yeah,
know a
so
lot.
rowing
It's
was
great.
just a sub brand. So it's rowing by Claude Michelle, but the 1839 part is that's actually the year that rowing was established in the U.S. in Detroit when I was doing my research of the sport. Plus the
Oh,
fact that rowing is actually very big in Boston because the
okay.
largest rowing competition is at the Charles River. So it's like that's why I use that to my benefit as much as possible because, like I said, I get to represent my city with the sport as well. So
And you said
and
that's where
also
it
the
started in Detroit?
no, it got established in Detroit, but
Oh.
Boston is where the biggest rowing
Oh,
competition
okay. Okay.
is.
Because,
And
say
so
Detroit,
also
I got to
learn
say something.
a fun fact is the first all black rowing team is actually came out of Boston, out of Roxbury.
I did not
So
know that.
yeah, that's
That's
another
pretty
thing.
awesome.
I learned about that doing my own research of the sport, just dabbling, and I learned about it, and I decided to do a design behind it too.
That's awesome. I love that. I did not know that at all. So, how would you say your style evolved from when you first started out? When you had that first college runway show, how have you evolved since then
I
in your
mean, I went
aesthetic?
from doing like hoodies and sweatpants, crew necks, etc., and mostly just menswear. My first year was all menswear. I never
Okay.
did women. I had women complaining to me left and right, like, when are you gonna do the women? So the
Right.
year
And you got
after,
mom, your sisters, I can't wear your
yeah.
stuff.
So a year after that is when I started doing the men's stuff. I mean, the
Okay.
women's stuff. And so the way it grew is I went from doing the sportswear and then I started growing the brand. And then back in like 2015, that's when I actually got into the high end side of things when I was doing gowns and suits and all that high fashion stuff. That's when I dropped Claude Michelle. So my first solo show was actually 2015. So I introduced that. So that's when I introduced the other part of the brand. And so now you have Claude Michelle and you have Rome by Claude Michelle, and I have both brands. And I just been ever since 2015, I've done more shows for Fashion Week because of the fact that I was doing gowns and
Hmm.
women's clothing
So that
and men's
opened up more
clothing.
doors to
Yeah,
you.
it did because I know with fashion thing, the casual sportswear, it's cool, but it's not gonna break into the fashion scene like that where more of the gowns
More
is more for
urban,
men.
but yeah,
Yeah.
you're kind of in
Hmm.
a different lane. So that's
Yeah.
great that you have that versatility in your brand. So, taking it back to your Haitian roots, how does that show up in your work? Is it through colors, textures?
So I have a design that's actually, especially for the rowing stuff,
Okay.
that's actually inspired by being Haitian is learning about their first Olympic medal, which was a silver medal and a bronze medal, which was
Hmm.
1924 and 1928. So I used that and I made a design behind that and used that as a concept just to educate people, especially my own people, because my father, which I thought he would know better, he didn't know. I actually had to teach him about that. So I use that and behind my brand as well a lot when it comes to different pieces.
I love that. I love connecting to your culture because so many people don't put that much thought into every piece. And the fact you're telling a story and educating, it just kind of sets you apart from every other designer. So I do love that. How important is it for you to represent your identity in your fashion?
I think it's very important because I feel like it separates you from everybody else. Like I tell people the other day, I was telling a friend of mine, what separates me from Ralph Lauren is Ralph Lauren is a Jewish guy from New York, right? Where I'm a black guy who's Haitian from Boston. So I use all those to my advantage when it comes to my designs. So that's what separates me from everybody else because it's like, yes, I get compared to him a lot. When I was in Chicago and I did a show out there in 2013. That was the first time I heard someone say, "You're the Black Ralph Lauren." I was
Yeah.
just like, "That's interesting," because he's my biggest inspiration behind that. But at the same time, what separates me from Ralph is, like I said, the background I have is different from his.
I agree. I think that's yeah. You're definitely kind of in your own lane. Similar aesthetic, but you're still different, and you don't want to be just grouped into. So it's just like Ralph Lauren. It's good to have those differences to set yourself apart, and you are doing a good job of that. So, what has been some of your biggest challenges that you face as a designer and stepping into your creating your own collection and putting yourself out there?
Funding. Like if I had
Right.
enough money to do a lot of things, that would be
You
the
do it
biggest
all.
issue. So it's like I'm funding everything myself. So it's like,
Yeah.
you penny pinch at this point to get to the
Yeah.
point where you do certain things.
It's
Even
hard.
you
Fabric
extend like
costs and all of that.
oh,
Yeah.
all the materials, the whole nine. So it's like if I had someone that was like wealthy that was like, hey, I want to fund everything. Oh my goodness.
You're like
It would
any
be
takers.
endless. It'd be endless.
Right?
It'd
We
be
need to
endless.
find you
So it's
that
just like
person. We need to find you
I
that
feel like
person.
certain designers had an edge on other people because of that reason. Like I remember I did the history of Ralph Lauren and I learned that he actually got a loan to get started. I wish
Mm,
I was able to do something like that because
yeah.
I know that doesn't even take a lot of money to do it. I said honestly, it feels like someone that said, all right, I could give you like 10,000, it would actually go far. I could
Yeah,
stretch it out. I could really
exactly.
stretch it
You
out.
stretch it out because
Yeah,
you could put your money to something else, and that would take care of a lot of things initially.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
was there ever a moment thus far that really tested you, and you kind of had that moment like, do I really want to do this? If so, what was that moment, and how did you push through?
I think it was like maybe before COVID and stuff, and then when COVID hit, because it's like uh there was so much going on in the world, and it's like I kept thinking to myself, am I able gonna even reach this level of what I want to reach with the world at the state that it's in? So I was just like kind of concerned with that. So that made me think, wow, I don't think I'm gonna get the opportunity, but turned out better than expected. So I'm back on track.
Awesome. Um, so, what's something about the fashion industry, just for other people in the trying to make their break, start their own collection, or just not really sure? They don't know much about it, but they know they're interested. What is something about the fashion industry people don't see behind the scenes? Would you say?
Um,
Like sometimes it looks glossy and glamorous. Like, what's your take on that?
I think it's a lot of work. The thing is, it's actually very tiresome when you do a show. People think maybe because you have all the help. Every show I've done, I've never really cared to go to after party or just to
You're like, I want to
associate
go
with
home.
stuff. Yeah, I just want to sleep. One time I was in Chicago, I did a show. I did go out to after party with them, but I ended up sleeping in the VIP section.
Okay.
I was just that tired. I was just like, this is draining because it's like it's mentally draining,
Yeah.
but it's not as much physically draining. But when your mental is drained, your body gets drained.
Yeah. You just need
That's just
to
how it operates.
kind of recharge. So I can
Yeah.
totally understand that. Just yeah, I've done a lot of styling and it's exhausting. Even getting the product there, lugging the stuff, all of that, getting it back. You're like, okay, I'm done. I definitely don't want to party after it. I'm just happy I accomplished and got through it a lot of times. So, what advice would you give aspiring designers trying to break into the industry?
Um, find your niche. Like find out what works for you. Get some mentors. I had 5 mentors.
Hmm.
So the mentors thing I learned about from a guy named Ty Lopez. He has he reads a bunch of books. He reads about I think 5 books a month or something like that. But he
Okay.
also mentioned when he mentioned I watched a video of his and he said he had 5 mentors. So ever since then I met my first mentor back in Boston, and then my second mentor I met through him. My third mentor I met through a friend of mine, childhood friend of mine's. My fourth mentor was a guy in New York named Alexander Nash, and the way I met him was on Tumblr. This is
Hmm.
like I seen his stuff. I commented on his stuff. he actually started going through my stuff and he said, "Hey, you got some great work. You should come out here so I can see you, bring some of your stuff out." Went out there and met with him. And then my fifth mentor actually was a guy named Jeff Lyons from Boston. He actually taught me a lot about, passing out business cards and networking and stuff like that. So I learned different things from each one. I took the good from all of them.
Okay.
So my thing is get mentors. Mentors will teach you everything you need to know. The more, the better, because you're going to learn something different from each person. Everybody's different.
Was it hard for you to get those mentors? You just kind of say, "Hey, I need a
Actually, no,
mentor,"
because people
or
people actually want to share this information with you.
that's
They
good.
do,
Yeah.
and not there's not a lot of gatekeepers out there, which is actually a good thing. Like I said, because to this day, I'm still in contact with most of them. My second mentor actually seen me maybe a couple years ago before I moved to Houston,
Hmm.
and he said to me he was proud of me because he was like, "You're still going," as all of us has like they took in other routes in the fashion. Like my second mentor, he does the fashion thing, but he's more of a on the tailoring side. He does
Okay.
like tuxedos and stuff. He took over his father's business, so that's where he went. And he has another company that he does a lot of shows. So he didn't really go down the same route I'm going. So, but I stuck with it. And the fact that I stuck with it, he actually was like, keep going. And he said, I see you, keep going. And it's like, that's good to know that I'm going down the right path.
Would you say you've had, about five mentors? Was there something different that each of them offered that the other didn't? Like, or you just, kind of had one
Yeah.
mentor, moved to a new place, got another one, or how do they all kind of have helped shaped who you are, and what was different from mentor to the next? Would you say?
So my first mentor taught me a lot about how to like move through, like when it comes to networking, but move through the nightlife scene because I realized that nightlife scene was very important in fashion and growing my business because the networking and the connections that you get in the nightlife scene, just knowing the right people. So he taught me a lot when it comes to that, and just a lot of advice that he gave me about brands and working with models and certain things that he did I didn't really like, but
Okay.
I didn't really take that from him. So I made it a rule for myself from watching him. And then my second mentor, I learned a lot from like he actually did a lot of shows with me. Like he introduced me to a lot of people, and he's taught me the game. My third mentor, he taught me the networking part of things, like not giving your business card just to anybody because you don't
Hmm.
want to waste it.
Right.
My
They
fourth,
are can get expensive. Like, look on my
yeah, and
website.
my My fourth my fourth mentor was the one in New York. He actually New York's a whole different monster than Boston. So I
Yeah.
learned a lot from him from like he was working with like celebrity clients. So I learned a lot from him when it comes to celebrity clients and how to work with them and how to meet them and this and the third. He actually introduced me to some people, like one of the New York Jets, like
Hmm.
manager or whatever. And then my fifth mentor, he actually just taught me everything about when it comes to like marketing and things of that sort and like websites and development and
Hmm.
stuff like that. So yeah, I just learned different things from everybody.
Yes. So everyone out there, get a mentor. I would also say it's essential. I haven't been as fortunate to find as many, but when I have had a mentor, it definitely just helps give a nice blueprint to, and just more knowledge that you just may not have off the mental. Someone to walk you through things, and so you don't have to make mistakes and learn things the hard way. So it's
Yeah.
definitely a great thing to have. So what would you say is next for you in rowing? Your Claude Michelle or 1839? Like, where are you focusing your efforts as far as
So
your
right now,
collections
developing, I
now?
have the website. It's under construction right now, but I'm basically focused on rowing as the
Okay.
brand. I'm focused on just manufacturing things and just dropping, like, springtime's coming up, summertime, so I'm working on summer, spring stuff to release for the summertime. Just working with different influencers from athletes
Okay.
and of sort just to help market the brand because I'm learning that that's the name of the
Yes.
game. The way to get your stuff out there is through people. I knew that from when I was younger because when I first started my brand, which was rowing, I had 20 of the most influential people in my city, from DJs, just people that people know in the city. I gave them all free sweatshirts.
That is, yeah, that's the way to do it. No
Yeah.
one's going to say no to
So
that.
yeah, so and then there was obviously excited to wear it and promote it. And it was just like that's what actually helped actually catapult me in the business out there in Boston to get my name out there back in 2012. So I'm basically using that same concept but on a grander scale. So it's just like, just the whole focus right now is just marketing because I'm learning that I have the pieces. I just need to market because the
Got to put it
marketing
out
side is
there.
the most because you
Yeah.
you can have a product But if you, the only reason you're not selling is if you don't, if you don't have nobody actually looking at your stuff, you
Yes.
wouldn't put, yeah, put
That
it in
makes
front
it
of as
hard.
many people. Yeah, because it's like if you have 100 people seeing your stuff, that's cool, but that's not as much as 100 million.
Right. And it's
So it's
put
just like,
getting enough exposure so you're in front of the right people. Because
yeah,
if it's a bunch of people that aren't going to move to purchase or really going to, show that interest and want your product, then it's kind of like, okay, you
yeah,
got exposed, but that didn't get you anywhere. So you have to, it's a constant thing in getting to the right people who actually understand your brand, want to invest in your brand, and want to tell the next person about it. So it's definitely an ongoing thing trying to reach all those potential buying market out there. So I
yeah,
definitely
definitely.
agree. It's something I need to work on. Social media is not my strength, but I'm growing and I'm working on it. So
I mean, it becomes easy within time, but
yeah,
like I said, it's something that once you get it down packed and figure out the marketing side of things, because I feel like
yeah,
marketing to me is like maybe like 60% of what you're doing
yes,
for the
that's
most
true.
part. Kind of like when you're working out, everybody knows working out is like 20% is actually the gym and the rest is in the kitchen. So it's kind of the same concept. You have the product, but it's just like now you got to focus on
Getting
getting
it
it in
out.
front of as many people as
Yep.
possible. And at least even the larger the number of people you get, even if it's a small percentage of that, it's still a percentage of something.
Right. If you're not doing nothing, you're not touching anyone and letting them know about your brand. So you have to
Yeah.
make a conscious effort to continue to market yourself, and everything could be a marketing opportunity. So stay on. Um, so what kind of legacy do you want to build through your work?
Uh, I want to be the best at what I do when it comes to this fashion stuff to the point where people remember me for it. Like, oh, I remember him in Boston. Like, till this day, I got people that said, I went to your show back in 2012, or I went to your show and I went to this, or I was at the college that you were at. So it's just like, just continuing that legacy. Now that I'm in Houston, I'm trying to do the same thing out here. I'm trying to tap in, but my whole focus with Houston is I actually want to make a name for myself, but at the same time, I want to help bring fashion to Houston because I've been
Right.
here for 3 years, going on 4, and I'm noticing, I'm like, there's only one other person I know that actually does justice to fashion in the city, which is Cash McIntosh. I want to shout him out, Cash. I met him a couple years ago when I first came out here. The kid's been doing shows constantly every year in March, but it's like I want to grow it to a certain point where it's just like real fashion to the point where it's just like, you get the acknowledgement from like New York, Paris, and they start seeing us as a fashion hub because why not? We have so many people that come in and out of hobby or IAH that come
Yeah,
here all the
definitely.
time. So it's like,
Everybody comes to Houston, so
yeah. So
it's a
it's
great
like
market.
it is a great market. That's why I was
Yeah.
just like, it made sense to come here and expand. Every time I tell people I came here to expand, I remember when I first moved here, a kid at the club said to me, when I told him my idea about me coming in here when I was doing fashion, he was like, yeah, we need more people like you here because he said, I remember the fashion scene back in the days, which I get it. It changed maybe after COVID or whatever the case may be,
Yeah.
but my whole focus right now is to help, enrich the city when it comes to the fashion. That's just why I'm trying to associate myself with a whole bunch of people that either are stylists, makeup artists,
Mm.
models, other designers,
Build
and
that
just grow
network.
this little, yeah,
No, I think that's great. It's definitely needed. I'm trying to find it too. So continue to pave the way. I'm right here searching as well. So I think that's great that that's one of your focuses. Definitely a great opportunity. So we're gonna move into something a little bit light. It's called the fashion speed round. So I'm gonna ask you some quick questions. Just tell me the first thing off the top of your head. What do you think of when I ask you?
okay.
Don't have to put too much thought into it at all. Just something fun and light. So what I think I know the answer to this one, but let me know if it's someone else. Your favorite designer of all time?
Ralph Lauren.
Okay, that's what I thought. One trend that you think needs to go.
One train need to go. I've heard, it's funny. I was actually looking at this online, and all of the girls was saying it. It's skinny jeans.
Okay,
It's just like, and they
I'm
all
not gonna.
said
I'm
it.
a fighting you on that one because I'm all of five foot
I
one
mean,
and a half.
for the guys, for the
Oh,
guys,
okay, okay, yes. I
for the
digress.
guys. I can't say that for girls because it makes sense for the girls to wear it.
Okay,
It makes sense to me. Skinny jeans make sense on girls. Yes, for
okay,
the guys, I'm
yeah.
like,
I'm with you. I'm with you on that. And I
Yeah.
think the baggy look right now is definitely reemerged, especially for
Yeah, it's
women.
like the
And
90s
I
all
love
over
going
again.
back and forth. I love a
Yeah.
baggy fit. Okay, one thing every designer must master.
Their craft, at the end of the day, it's like you should always be open to learning and getting better because I'm always open to learning from other people. Other designers that are doing stuff like that. I ask questions. I'm a sponge. I'm never gonna say better than everybody else. I call it the Jordan mindset. When I'm on the court, which is like the runway, I'm the best. I think I'm the best. I'm the best. But off the court, I think I'm the worst, and that's how I get better.
I love that. And what about collaborations? Is there anything on the horizon? Have you ever collaborated with another designer?
I haven't yet, but I have a friend of mine that lives out here named Laurel. He's the reason
Okay.
why I moved to Houston. She's
Okay.
actually originally from Boston. Here, she did a show recently with Cash back
Awesome.
in March, like a couple weeks ago. And I just, he's actually like a leather guy. He's a streetwear guy. He's definitely one person I wouldn't mind collabing with. Me and him spoke about that a while ago. But I don't mind doing collabs because I see it works out for a lot of people. Like you see how I think, for example, was it H&M for a while?
Mm,
Doing collabs with different like designer brands years
yeah.
ago. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I feel like it's like why not? Because it's like a crossover. It's like kind of like an R&B artist hooking up with a rapper. So it's
Yeah.
just like it
And it
makes
can
sense.
introduce you to a new audience that maybe you're not
Yeah.
tapped into. So I don't think anything's wrong with that at all.
Yeah.
So where can people find more information about your brand, shop your brand?
So my website is rowing1839.com, but it's under construction right now, but it'll be back up soon. But yeah, that's exactly where you go. Or you could just find me on Instagram, which is rowing1839. Rowing1839.
And
So
also a
that's it.
segue to this, I just want to give the audience a quick heads up that even Claude and I are collaborating on an event right here in the Houston area. It's called the In Full Bloom Fashion and Beauty Experience. It's going to be April 25th from 7 to 10 p.m. You can come there and really check out his amazing collection in person. Tickets are currently on sale at Eventbrite. We have a flyer to show you just to give you some quick information. Thank you. Okay, we hope you all can make it. It's an event, an experience you don't want to miss. So, Claude, thank you so much for coming to From the Front Row and sharing your journey with us. And to everyone listening, this is From the Front Row. Raw truth, real style, no filters. Keep striving, keep pushing, and don't wait for permission. Claim your seat at the front row.